welcome back to another episode of Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk. Favourite British home for all of your news, reviews and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. That's where my heart lives, it's where it lies. Massive thanks, because I don't know if you noticed, but the channel has officially hit 1,000 subscribers. When I took this channel on for Nerdly, with Nerdly, as Nerdly, so I've been slowly trying to build this up a bit more, and it's really cool. Phil's still putting videos out there. I love seeing it when Phil puts a video out there, but yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on with the YouTube, but we officially hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. I mean, I would love like 10,000 more, but hopefully we'll get there one day somehow. There's loads more stuff coming, loads more interviews, loads more reviews, but today, Cobweb. Bit of a low-budget horror, psychological thriller, really decent cast in there. Didn't know a great deal about this, other than I think it's like Seth Rogen's first movie that he's produced. He's done a lot of TV shows, you know, like The Boys, Preacher. I think this is the first movie that he's produced. Now, if I've got that completely wrong, please do tell me. But it's got his name all over it. Him and Evan Goldberg, his writing partner, they are involved in this film somehow, some way, and that's kind of a big thing, so I was kind of like, let's see what they do when it comes to horror. So, without further ado, my name is Kevin Halden. Please do all those wonderful, lovely things down below, as I need to get to that 10,000. And let's get into this.
It's okay, it was just a bad dream. I heard it again.
No more nightmares tonight. Okay, champ?
Daddy!
This is getting ridiculous.
This is an old house. There's bound to be bumps in the night.
As with every other review that I do, I think you all kind of know the pattern by now. I like to talk about the plot of the movie, get into the cast and the characters of this movie, talk a little bit about what I did and didn't like about this movie, and then I like to round things out with a little thing that I call the Nerdly Out Loud final rating. But yeah, the Nerdly Out Loud rating is pretty much my rating, but you can take it to the bank because I'm the most important person there. So yeah, let's just talk about this. I am going to try not to do spoilers because it's still a really new movie and people I think need to check it out. It's got a little bit of buzz going for it. I think it's going to do okay, so please do check out the movie. But what I may do is, because I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of things, I may drop a couple of little spoilers. Okay, so yeah, let's do this. So the movie Cobweb, directed by Samuel Bodin, who I don't really think has done much film-wise. He's done a lot of TV, which I saw, which is cool, and this is obviously a natural progression moving into it. Teamed up with Chris Thomas Devlin, a writer, which will explain some of my pet peeves with this movie, because he also wrote the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Wasn't a massive fan of that, kind of for the same reasons. So the movie opens up and we meet an 8-year-old boy called Peter. And Peter is living at home with his mum and dad, obviously because he's only 8, that would be silly if he wasn't living at home with his mum and dad, but he lives at home with his mum and dad, and they are a little bit protective, it seems. Like, the whole sort of opening third of this movie is showing you how protective of their son these guys are. He goes to school, kind of gets picked on because he's a little bit of a weirdo. I mean, he's a big bit of a weirdo. The new substitute teacher comes in. She kind of really likes him in terms of she wants to help him. She thinks he's got potential, so she's going to do whatever she can. When he's at home, Peter at night is having like these quote-unquote nightmares, night terrors, that there's something within the walls in his bedroom. Turns out those aren't really nightmares or night terrors. There may actually be something or someone in the walls of his bedroom and the walls of the house. So then his teacher's kind of like, yo, there's something not quite right with this kid. What's wrong with him? He's done a creepy picture. I'm going to go home and I'm going to talk to the mum and dad. She goes, talks to the mum and dad, and that's when the wheels start to come off in terms of the home life. Mum Carol and Dad Mark, it turns out, are being super protective of their son, but for a very good bloody reason that we'll get into in a second. Are they protecting him? Are they overbearing protective parents? Or are they maniac psychopath's going to kill people. And that's sort of where the movie leads us. It leads us into this area where he's trying to figure out what is actually going on. And then he kind of becomes friends with whatever it is that lives in the wall. And it's sort of like telling him that, everything will be okay. We just need to sort things out and do such and such. Trying to dance around spoilers here really bloody hard. But yeah, so he kind of joins forces with the thing in the walls. And that's all I'm going to say about the plot, because it really does veer into spoiler territory after that. So let's talk about cast and characters. First of all, talk about 8-year-old Peter, played by Woody Norman. This isn't a young actor that I'm overly familiar with, I will be honest. I do believe he did a movie with Joaquin Phoenix, or he's got a movie with Joaquin Phoenix coming out, which is pretty cool. But to be honest, this kid didn't really light up my world. Like, child actors in horror movies can go one of two ways. They are just extremely annoying, or really damn cute and scary and awesome. It's a strange one, because I neither really cared much about what this character went through, nor did I care much about what happened to him. It's a bit harsh, I guess, because I didn't want him to get hurt, but just, I think the character itself, there was way more interesting things happening around. He does have a moment in the movie that does make you go, oh, this kid's actually a bit of a badass, but it's pretty short-lived, and then he goes back to being a bit of a fanny. Mum and Dad, Carol and Mark. This is kind of where the movie lives a little bit for a while. So you've got Mum, played by Lizzy Caplan, at her out there, schizophrenic, nutso best. Like, Lizzy Caplan is great when she's just playing crazy, but not too crazy, but just crazy enough. I really buy Lizzy Caplan when I see her on the screen playing these roles. It is definitely what she does best. And talking about what they do best, Antony Starr, that's right, Homelander from The Boys, is playing Father Mark in this movie. Not Father Mark, he's not playing a priest, he is the dad Mark. And he's great. Like, he's sinister, he's compelling, he's charismatic. Like, you don't really know what his motivations are from the start to the end, and that was something that drove me nuts. But that's what Antony Starr does best. Like, you somehow root for Homelander in The Boys, even though you know he's the biggest asshole alive. But yeah, I really liked Antony Starr in this movie. I always find him strangely just watchable. Like, you cannot take your eyes off him. So he's just doing more of the same. Really liked it. I suppose the other main character you need to talk about would be Cleopatra Coleman, who plays the substitute teacher. Doesn't do a great deal, but she is there, and she does make an impact on the movie. I like the role. She's not too in your face. She's not too out of your face. She just does a good job, and that's all you can really ask. Talking about lunatic actors from a minute ago, there is a child actor in this movie called Luke Busey. Now, I've not looked this up, but my god, does this kid not look like Jake Busey. Like, I don't know if it's his dad, I don't know if this is Jake's kid, but my god, the blonde hair, the psycho eyes, the dead behind the eyes look. This kid could easily be Jake Busey's kid. I hope it is. If it's not, props to this kid. This is a child actor that I think we'll be seeing a bit more of going forward. Probably just playing shit-heel dickbags all the time. So what I did and what I didn't like about this movie, it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be completely honest, because I really enjoyed the tense thriller aspect of it, the psychological aspect of it. What is behind the wall? What's going on? Who is it? Why are they there? And what's, what have the parents done to this? What didn't the parents do? Why are the parents so cockamamie? Like, I really loved the intriguing aspect of this movie, the thriller aspect of this movie, if you will. And there are some pretty good jump scares as well, some not bad jump scares. You kind of see them coming. It does a lot of things that you're not expecting that it's going to do. It sort of choreographs one thing and shows you that it's going to do that, and then decides not to and does another thing. That's always a good thing in movies, in horror movies specifically. James Wan does it better than anyone, And this director, Samuel Bodin, has a little bit of the James Wans, and that's all credit to him. My only thing is that I found myself wondering why some of these things were happening. I didn't necessarily need to be spoon-fed everything. I didn't need to be told do-do-do-do-do. But when we find out what's behind the wall, it's pretty messed up. So I'm not going to do spoilers, but it is a person behind the wall, okay? It's a person that's behind there. Because for a little while, with the movie being called Cobweb, I thought a giant spider was going to come out. A giant spider didn't come out. It is an actual person. I'm not going to say much more than that. But when this person comes out of the wall, or you kind of see them, and that's when the movie really kicks into high gear, they're really, really messed up. And I sort of understand why they would be a bit messed up, but they're really messed up. Like, almost mutant-wise messed up. And I didn't really get that. I didn't really understand why. Even if I drew my own conclusions, I still don't quite get to that part. But as I said at the start, the writer of this movie, Chris Thomas Devlin, he also wrote the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot for Netflix, or sequel, or whatever it was, and I kind of had the same gripes with that movie that I had with this movie. So check out that review if you want to know more about that. But what I really did like is the atmospheric nature of it, just the thrilling nature of it, the psychological side of things, the messing with my head. Antony Starr is just great in it. There are some awesome, it is a horror movie, there are some awesome kills, some great kills, quite kind of like, oh god, they kind of get to you kills. So that's always good when you're watching a horror movie. So I'm just gonna get into my final rating, and honestly, I do think people should check this out. I think a lot of people would enjoy this movie. I think there's a definite audience for Cobweb, and I think it does some things better than most other low budget or lower budget horror movies do. And that's kind of the parent aspect. Like, I'm sitting there thinking the parents are absolutely in the wrong here. They are the ones that are doing everything, and you're kind of right, but you're kind of wrong. You get a little bit of context, and that's when everything sort of changes, and the whole movie switches on a dime. But that's the thing, when it does switch, it is one hell of a switch. Like, it goes from here to here in seconds. And I don't want people to take this as a knock on the film, but I can only really in all good conscience give this movie a 3 out of 5. I do think it has a lot of potential for growing a little fandom. There's a bit of potential to maybe make a Cobweb 2, or whatever you want to call it. I do think Antony Starr and Lizzy Caplan did a wonderful, fantastic job, and I do think young Woody Norman is a decent little actor. He just kind of sits on the fence for me, where I'm sort of like, I'm not really sure if I give much of a crap what happens to this kid. And sometimes for me, like, if I'm not really caring much, but he does get some badass moments. Like, he pushes a kid down the friggin' stairs at school. Who didn't want to do that when they were at school? Everybody wanted to. Don't you lie. Don't you lie. But yeah, so 3 out of 5 for me on this movie. Samuel Bodin, I think you have a very, very respectable career ahead of you. I will be checking it out. All respect to you for making a movie and making that transition from TV to film. All respect to you for that. And of course, Chris Thomas Devlin, as much as I had some issues with the story of this film, some issues with some of the characterization with this film, I do think you've done a better job with this one than you did for the Chainsaw Massacre movie. So that's a good thing, I guess. Everybody check this movie out. It's out there, it's everywhere. Please do go and check it out. I'll put links in the description if you want to check things out. Please do like, subscribe. Please do like, subscribe, ding that bell, all that good stuff. More reviews incoming. My name's been Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk. Your favourite British home for news, reviews, and exclusive interviews.